Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, and unicorns. Welcome so much for another time that you invite me into your browser tab or onto your device of choice. And yeah, welcome. It is a great time to have you because the year is coming to an end. And I thought it's time for a little chilled out, relaxing stream. But first, please let me know if you can hear me. So if you can, please write tree in the chat or post an emoji or anything that I know you can hear me and also see me. Let me see. YouTube at least says that the stream health is excellent. And look at this. There are even 2 concurrent viewers. This is amazing and I already got a like. Wow. Maybe this was a bit premature from you, but we will see how this goes. Yes, again, thank you so much for joining me. And I wanted to have some kind of open domain, public domain, open source Christmas music playing in the background. But then again, not everybody might be celebrating Christmas for one thing, and it could get easily annoying, especially if it's on loop. Some kind of tinny, meaty sound that's going on. House, oh wait, tree. Yes, excellent. It's 3 people now. Thank you so much for making time for your favorite YouTuber and also for me, if you're still watching me in another tab while Ninja is killing it, probably somewhere in another Fortnite stream. I thought that we decorate a little bit. First, do some decoration of the tree, of the wonderful Christmas tree that I'm having here. And then we just have a mellow session where I'm just looking at or want to showcase you some of my lost art, as I like to call it. Stuff that I did that was somehow got under the wheels over time for one reason or another. So yeah, essentially it's just my way of trying to get out stuff that I made that was in some occasions really a lot of involvement, but nobody ever got to see or nobody was ever interested in this. So this is what we're going to do. And of course, as always, answer any random question that's being thrown at me. Well, not any random question. Those that I can answer. Today I celebrate the days starting to get longer. Yes, by the way, finally I'm not very much of a person who enjoys these long stretches of darkness, because especially when I'm working in the night. So it's quite nice that days are starting to get longer again, at least if you're on the northern hemisphere. If you're on the southern hemisphere, you had your chance, you had summer long enough, now it's our turn. I don't celebrate Christmas, but I think the annoyingness would be the main concern. Yeah, probably because I'm already way oversaturated with any kind of literal jingle bells. So I'm good for this year, and it's not even the 24th or 25th of December. Okay, but first, yes, I tried to make this a little bit more themed. The background here and all that I could find is one carving of a tree and some Christmas ornaments that I got from Starbucks right after Christmas because I think they had too many. But I'm not quite sure if those are Christmas ornaments or they are meant to be earrings. Yeah, either way, let's put them onto the Christmas tree, or on the Christmas tree, not onto prepositions and my English. Wow. Okay, so this is a first attempt. I can't wait for this to come crashing down. I give it 5 minutes at the most. Maybe 2. Christmas. Wonderful. Let's have a look at the chat and see if anyone is already saying that they are leaving. Having time off work makes me lose track of what day it is. So you already have time off work. I say unicorn, which means let's have a sip of water to stay hydrated. Must be 30 seconds or something. But I take bets how long the other lasts. And if you win, congratulations. If I win, I get $5,000. Okay, so let's get started with my lost art. If any one of you is interested in this, let me just switch over. to my screen. I have here prepared a little something that I thought might be interesting to any of you. Last time I showed some of my Walking Dead inspired pixel art, but it was not just Walking Dead inspired, they were just stills from the show as a reinterpretation as a pixel art. And I thought I'd show you some more that I found from the archive. And I think the first one that I started with was, I think it was Rick. Let me just find the right one here. It wasn't even 5 minutes, so nobody wins, everyone loses, but at least they are made of plastic, so and it's good that they didn't break. Okay, so let me just find Rick real quick here. There, this is the one. So this was my first attempt at trying something, to make something that isn't your traditional pixel art, in a sense that it's just trying to make a very cartoony sprite character, but try my hand at making some kind of illustrations. Or yeah, I wanted to start out with landscape art, but this didn't quite work because I want to draw the trunk of every tree, and with pixel art, yeah, you can't really do this. So I had too hard a time trying to convey this sense of perspective, and then I thought, yeah, why not take some kind of references? And I was watching Walking Dead back in 2013, by the way, this was, and I thought, yeah, maybe I should try to draw something with as little pixels and as little colors as possible. So this was my first attempt. It was Rick. Just let me see if I have somewhere here the reference, but I don't think that I have it. Oh, yes, I have the reference. So this one, by the way, was here, of course, the reference from the show for this pixel art. And as I think many of us who tried to just scale something down, reduce the colors, and you go pixel art, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. And yeah, it was really interesting. It was more of a study in a sense, trying to really find out what pixels are necessary and what colors are necessary. For example, you can see here that his left side, from our perspective, the shadow is on the left side of his face here in the original, and in the pixel art there is not much of a shadow here. It's just implied by this darker region of pixels. So yeah, I was pretty happy with how this turned out overall. And then I thought, maybe I could make this into a series, because I was still studying at the time, and we all know people who are study have a lot of time on their hands. And I'm not quite sure what was the next that I attempted, but I think it was Glenn and Maggie. I'm not quite sure if this is the one, but this I think I showed you the last time. This snapshot here, and yeah, this was the original source here. So it almost works. In what I'm still not happy with, for example, is that it looks in the pixel art like he's having his mouth open just a little bit. But as you can see here, it's of course it's closed. And the biggest struggles that I had were with the pattern on the pillows behind them. And interestingly, the hardest time that I usually have when doing pixel art is hair and noses. But this was really helpful in this case here, because the light was coming from below. So I could make a little kind of piggy nose, and it looked completely workable and realistic. And this helped me quite a lot. But with noses, it's always too hard. Either they look too big or too small. And the other thing with hair is, for me, I hardly don't get the highlights at the correct position, or that strands of hair look like this lush head of hair. So it most of the time it looks just like it's individual strands of copper wire or something. But I think it works quite well there. And what also helped me was this diminished color palette there, because I think this is also just 15 colors. Let's find out. Image count colors used. So yeah, it's 15 unique colors, exclamation mark. So, and this is when I really started trying to do some dithering work here. So you can see here on his chest, and yeah, also a little bit on the face and on the pillow here, that I really could try to see how far I can get with just 15 colors. So yeah, I saw something that was moving there, and it was the chat. And I can see timer stopped with 3.5 remaining. So yeah, my Christmas ornaments didn't survive as long as my first Christmas tree, which survived, I think, 14 months or so. Yeah, I just bought it and set it in my room in my when I was studying in my dorm, and it just sat there. It was about this size. And yeah, come July the next year, I thought, I can't throw it out now. If I just keep it like it is, it's much shorter till next Christmas than it was before. So I think it was for 2 Christmases. It stuck around for 2 Christmases, but for the second one it didn't have any needles left. And even to the moment where I moved out, each year I still found at least 1 needle from this tree. You bad art is 20 times better than my masterpieces. Yeah, in the end, it all comes down to how much time you can devote just pushing pixels. Because in the end, I think I spent, for the first one with just Rick, I think it took me, I can't quite remember, but it was at least more than a single session. It was the first outline I had pretty quickly, and then it was just, here a pixel, no, it looks wrong, but on the other side, it also looks wrong, huh? And then it was just, yeah, I think 8 hours, maybe 6 hours. It was really long. It was a whole night when I went to it, where I just pushed pixels around. So in the end, you can create a masterpiece. It probably takes insanely long. So start with smaller pieces and then gradually expand. And what I never can do without, there we go, is references. As you can see here, it's much easier if you have some kind of reference to work off of, because I've seen this sometimes when I try to do some fantasy forests and woods. You start with the tree trunks, and then how does it look when a tree trunk transitions over to roots, and where is fern there? Where is foliage coming down? How does it look? If you try to recall, if you didn't spend time in the woods and really consciously looked at things, you can't do this without references. And with references, it feels like cheating because you're so much faster. Yeah, another thing I just noticed is that I cropped here, the cropping. Yeah, crop the image just a little bit to make it work, because this was, like I said, the hardest part was figuring out how small you can go where you still have enough pixels to get some kind of expression across. And I think here it's just borderline. Like I said last time, when I zoom in, if you go by this dark pixels for the eyes, it looks like they are completely wrong. It is just googly-eyed. But when you zoom out and if things get smaller, it looks correct. And yeah, it's really hard if you just have a couple of pixels to work with. And I think I have one more. This was 2. Oh, this was Carl. Yes, and at this point I thought I really had figured out how to do this kind of dithering stuff. And I think this is... Thank you, phone. I think this is one of my best pixel arts, or at least the ones that those that I'm most happy with, because of it's with the dithering here in the face. We're trying to get a smooth transition without being able to smooth out things. So if you look at it small like this, yeah, it's maybe too small, but you can see I'm really quite happy with how these things turned out. And also in the end, it's also, I think with this one, I didn't spend as much time placing pixels, rather that I tried to figure out which colors I needed for my, I think it was also 15 colors again. Yeah, again, 15 unique colors there. And yeah, it really started getting a little bit problematic, not with this one, but I think with the one following that. Let's see if I have here the original or the reference image, which I based this on. So it as always, it loses a little bit, and I think the hardest part was those wrinkles and creases there on Rick's shirt there. And yeah, sometimes you really have to invent stuff where there is none. For example, here it looks like there are some leaves or some kind of definition there going on in the background, and here it's just noise and a little bit of implied structure of the leaves. And yeah, and I didn't have any colors left there to get some kind of very soft looking sky that's filtering through, so I just had to dither here quite a bit. But again, what helped me was just picking the colors and the palette there from the original frame, because like I said, you don't really know how many colors you will need or how many colors you shoot for unless it's determined by your technical limitations. I mean, you couldn't do this on a Game Boy, obviously. So it's more of an artistic choice that I said, yeah, I want to limit this to 15 colors, at least this series. Well, I gotta go. Oh yeah, bye Zayap guy. Thanks still for sticking around, and yeah, have a great holidays and great Christmassy season. Cheers. And Unicorn, by the way, let's have another sip of water. Cool. Okay, so I think there is just one more. Oh, look at this. I got even a making of. So yet you can see how this thing here evolved. And yeah, you can see a little bit how the colors gently start flicker, at least. No, actually, it's not that really obvious. There was a jump in colors where I really tried to shoot for these 15 colors that I have. So from my process, it's first getting the shapes where everything needs to be, and then really trying to increasingly shade things and try to see how little different colors that I need to get a feeling of a certain shape across. So you can see here with the cheekbones and the nose, and yeah, it was a lot of pixel pushing, but in the end, the rest was just dithering. By the way, I don't know how long it took me between those stages, how often I took a screenshot there. And I think, was this the last one? Oh, there's still 2 more to go, apparently. So this is, of course, everyone's favorite, or at least it's still to this day. That's Daryl. And this is the source image, and you can see here it didn't it's not a perfect match, because I realized that I started too small and his eyes wouldn't show, and then I had really to modify this thing here to make it work. And I think this one here took me the longest. And also you can see here with the crossbow I did some interesting choices there to get the shape across here. So mine's of course a little bit too exaggerated also there with how the light hits the metal there, and this light rimming here. Yeah, I would probably do things differently, but at least I got dithering again working in my favor. But as always, yeah, there's when you look at your old art, there's always something you would do differently. And for one thing that's driving me crazy ever since I posted it is that I used 2 pixels here instead of just having one and another one. And also here, by the way, those intervals here between those bars here, they aren't properly symmetrical. So yeah, pet peeves again. And the last one, like I said, that was the hardest was that's the preview. That's this one here of Herschel. And the hardest thing, interestingly, was not the part with the face. Let me find the source here, but the concrete wall, because I was running out of colors to use. And here with the concrete, you can see here it's not really closely related. It's a little bit too bright here. These parts, just to zoom in to show you better, these parts here are way too bright when you compare them with what's going on in the original. I think it still works. I think I tried it to dither it even more, but then, I mean, this part here was already busy, and it would just get even more busy or busier. And yeah, when you look at it, it's not a perfect match, but I think still good enough. Yeah, I would probably have done also some more anti-aliasing there, just a little bit more in terms of head, of the transition from the head to the background. But then again, maybe you want to change the background later on because it's some in-game cinematic, something along those lines. So I probably would do things a little bit differently right now, but sometimes I'm amazed with how little pixels you can get something across, like the eyes here. He looks pretty dead, but when you zoom out, he really starts to come together. But again, those little subtle shading there on skin in the face, I couldn't pull off with just 15 colors. I think it's also, 15 unique colors. So I hope I'm not boring you with my pixel art, but this is, like I said, I was very happy with the outcome and I haven't shown it around anywhere. And I'm proud of this. Okay, let's have maybe something that's, as you know, I'm also having my art on RedBubble, which is great because you can get stuff on t-shirts and on tote bags and especially stickers. And I love me some stickers. My old laptop was just chock full of stickers, and then I had to, they were stuck over each other, and then you couldn't really find out what this was about. And this wonderful, great individual sticker that looked great, I just slapped too many on. But it's it's fun, and it looked like probably some kind of street sign in Berlin where everyone who passes through for 30 years put on their sticker. I was bored before I started watching the stream, so don't worry. Thank you so much. So without further ado, let's continue to something that was on RedBubble, but for copyright reasons was taken down. And I think we should start here with this one here, the Monkey Island floppy disk. Because I thought for stickers, I thought it would always be nice to have some kind of, retro themed stuff, physical, of physical media, just some throwback to the times when I at least was young and had these things lying around. For example, like this authentic looking Monkey Island sticker here. Monkey Island was made by Lucasfilm Games, and Lucasfilm Games became LucasArts, and LucasArts was part of the whole Lucasfilm stuff, and then it was shut down, and I think the rights still belong now to Disney, because Disney bought Lucasfilm. So there we go, and I think this was the reason why RedBubble was just preliminarily, if this is the right word, taking down stuff that could get them on the radar of of Disney lawyers, because that's not a radar you want to be on ever. So this was, at first I once just did a little vector art of a floppy disk, and then I thought, it's a little bit boring, and if you ever had some kind of LucasArts or original games that came on floppies, why not recreate how they looked back then? And it would have been easy for me just to find this Monkey Island logo and stick it on there. But you probably know me already at this point. This was not an option for me. So I think I even pretty much lined out the original logo from the box art, from a scan of the box art, and just redrew the whole logo that it looked exactly like it looked here, and even did the same with the Lucasfilm Games logo. By the way, this Games font there, this was in the 90s, you saw this font quite often, and I think at one point also in the 90s I had it installed, but I forgot what it was called. And interestingly, this took me much longer than finding out this font here, where it says The Secret Of, and of course Lucasfilm Presents and so on. This is just a straight old Helvetica or Arial. And disk 36, that's a little in-joke, because at some point there, the game, I think it came on 3 or 4 floppy disks, and at some point in the game there is this maze on Mealy Island, and the joke was that you stumble onto an entrance to a cave there, and Guybrush says, "Oh, look! Looks to be like an immense labyrinth of epic proportions. Let's go down there." And then the game says, "Insert disk 36," and I at this time having a semi-legal version of Monkey Island, thought, oh my god, I got ripped off. I don't have disc 36. Crap, they copied too little discs. I don't have as much. But yeah, then was the next disc, and it was like disc 48, and then said, okay, insert disc 117. At this point, it dawned on me that maybe this was a joke. Because if you don't insert those discs, then Guybrush says, looks like I can't go down there. And I was pretty certain that this was a joke, but 20% of me back then, being a kid, I thought, maybe I'm missing out something here for sure. Maybe this game is much more massive than I ever thought. But of course it was a joke, but still, I thought I carry through this joke also on this little sticker here that never saw the light of day there. And yeah, of course I got references. This was my reference for the logo, and this was of course a scan from the original floppy disk somebody had. And yeah, this was my main reference as where to put stuff. And then of course, yeah, this game's logo there, the type, the font, which I based my research on. Yeah, and eventually I even found it, but what's the font called? Yeah, the one is Baskerville, that's the secret of, and the other is Newtown or Newton. And yeah, this was if you see some print advertisements in the early 90s, mid 90s, especially in terms of some sci-fi games, I think this font was pretty much everywhere. It's like the Euro style, which is still around to this day. And I think I mentioned this before, that when I'm just driving around with my wife, there is not one single day that passed without me going, oh, look at this Euro style, because it's still everywhere. Yeah, this was the Monkey Island floppy, and of course I didn't stop there. I did, of course, the Wolfenstein 3D, or as we say in German, Wolfenstein, which means just wolf, and Stein is usually, it's not the pitcher of beer, which is also called a Stein, I've learned. A Stein means boulder or rock in German. This is usually for if you have fortresses or castles, usually there are some with the ending of Stein, because they're built on a rock, obviously. So you've learned something, there you go. And this was the result. And of course you find the original logo of id Software somewhere, but I didn't found it in a vector format, so again I redraw it. I think the only one that I took as is was the GT Software logo, because this was still around somewhere. And but with this Wolfenstein logo there, I think I spent most of the time just trying to recreate this one here. And once some person said that it reminded them of bacon, slices of bacon. And once you see this, you can't unsee it ever again. So there you go, Wolfenstein bacon. By the way, the other font that's used was the Gill Saw font, but they mangled it and stretched it a little bit. So if this ever my teacher in typography that I had ever sees this, sorry, I had to do it. I wanted to stay true to the source material. Also, this copyright symbol here, where the C is not centered in the ring here, this was also where did I find it? Yeah, this, oh, of course, yeah, this is how it looked in Illustrator. And so you can see here where I just tried to recreate the id logo and then pulled the two letters apart so that I could retrace them and pull them back together. And yeah, this is here the Wolfenstein logo with this dividing line in the middle. But where is my reference? I think there it is. Yeah, this was the reference I had to work with, and you can see here, yeah, the C is not entirely in center. Oh, I thought you were going to go on to disc 37. Yeah, apparently you weren't with Monkey Island, so you had you had to go to 48, I think. Yeah. So this was also sadly taken down, but I think I posted it on Twitter and John Carmack liked it, so I can now die in peace because my life works is done having a tweet liked by John Carmack. Oh yeah, talking of John Carmack or even John Romero, where do I have it? I also got, of course, the Doom floppy, because now that I started something, I wanted to keep doing it. And yeah, this was, of course, I think every one of us has seen some kind of recreation of this disc, because of the logo here, because it's so damn iconic. I really like the original Doom logo, because yeah, it's just so simple. It looks metal, and it also looks sci-fi, because we all know the original logo with all those technical intricacies. And then I think I still have it there. I must have it there in my references. The original Doom logo. No, I don't have actually the original one. But oh, look at this. I even recorded a making of video that runs for 1 hour and 14 minutes. So if we just have a look at this, yeah. Essentially, I just, as you can see here, as always, I point by point, anchor point by anchor point, I recreated, of course, the Doom logo. And then there was, I think, I just clicked the X inside the video. Way to go, Phil. Yeah, this needle printer font there that just it is horribly ugly and out of alignment, where it just reads disc 1 of 4, because this one you couldn't do in the same quality as, of course, the print that doesn't change. So, and I even recreated this one here by just pointing or doing placing those dots, I think, manually there. So yeah, the rest is pretty straightforward. It's Helvetica, so there you go. But again, sadly, I mean, this is just a lovely sticker if you have it, because it's black, it's red, and it's white, so it's very catchy. But alas, it always went the way it had to go. It was purged from RedBubble. And the last thing that was purged from RedBubble, I'm really sorry about this one, because this was my Ripley sticker from, if you know, this iconic woman here, Ripley, Ellen Ripley, as played by Sigourney Weaver from the first Alien film. And they did a lot of promo shoots, and I found this great photo here. And I thought, yeah, this is a photo of already my Illustrator work there. And I thought, yeah, I wanted to give it this kind of, 70s comic look, in a sense, where the shadows drawn are really dark. And yeah, this was the result. I think I even did her shoes later on. Yeah, this look here. And how did I do this? Okay, so this is the final artwork. Yeah, I went to Photoshop and turned it, of course, to black and white, but as an adjustment layer. I think I still have it. And then manually tried to brighten some areas where I wanted to have some definition. For example, those creases and wrinkles there, and other parts that I wanted to have really dark, like this side of the face there. So essentially, I just kept individual areas of the image I brightened up and darkened on the photograph, and then on top everything was this adjustment layer that would turn it to straight black and white. But I could, yeah, balance where something would still be visible or would have some definition by doing this. Yeah, and then after this was done, I went to Illustrator, vectorized it, and spent probably 2 or 3 more nights just trying to make it smooth. Try to have for example, the rainbow logo there. I don't quite have it. This one here. First, I tried to have this original Wayland-Yutani Corporation logo there, or I think this was the Nostromo logo. This is the Wayland-Yutani. But it in the end, it just looked better if I had it at this low resolution. But yeah, I'm still sad that this one was taken out, because I'm quite happy with how the result looked. But apparently, since it was based off of a photograph, which I didn't have the rights to, and yeah, it was named Alien or something, they took it down. And to my chagrin, there's someone that has pretty much done the same as I, but not paying that much attention to detail, and their sticker is still up there. So yeah, way to go for them. But yeah, I think that's life. So okay, still 7 concurrent viewers. Thank you so much for hearing me ramble on. So I think we can leave it at that at this point for my vector stuff, because I have some more mock-ups, and those aren't really lost in a sense. but they were just in my, was it the Ludum Dare 39? Yeah, what I think it was Power MT, where I just said, yeah, do I want to make my game an adventure or rather an action platformer or an action adventure puzzle platformer? And for each I had a mock-up of an NES game or an old retro game that just read Ludum Dare instead of the original one. And yes, I did Monkey Island, Super Mario Bros, Metroid and Mega Man. And was this the final thing here? Yes, I even made a GIF out of this. Interesting. So yeah, this was a lot of work, but it turned out to be also a lot of fun trying to recreate this font here, because I didn't find the original one that this was based off of. But I think the part without the capital letters was copperplate Gothic, and then it was just trying to emulate this as good as I could. And of course I needed the background image, which I just ripped out of the original source files from the VGA version, because it was a Scum game, and Scum thankfully is pretty much entirely reverse engineered. Yeah, with the Super Mario Bros thing, yeah, this was original. And oh, look at this, even had here the coin animated. And as always, also wanted to stay true to how it looked on the original hardware. So where it says Ludum Dare, of course, this one also works there with the character set of the NES, because it's made up of blocks of tiles by 8x8 pixels. And I think this one here you could reuse the M, or was it the U? No, I think it was the U. So it fit into this original grid there that was used on the NES. And look at this, I even made a very simple attempt at having 3 colors and trying to draw myself there instead of Mario. And it's world, by the way, 39-1, because it was Ludum Dare 39. And of course the last one, oh, it's not the last one. What am I saying? Was the Metroid title here. I hope we all know it from the NES. And here this was the recreation, and I tried to keep as many original letters from the Metroid logo. That's the M and the E. But then I realized, I had to make the E a little bit shorter. That again, everything fits into this 8x8 pixel sized 8x8 pixels sized tile grid. And then sadly now the original M looks a little bit off. Looks like it's a little bit too wide for the font. But again, I had lots of fun doing this. And there's animation. Yeah, of course we have this, it fades in. Yeah, let me just zoom in that you can see it, because this is at 1x1 pixels. And now it jumped back. Yeah, so this is how it fades in over, there we go, over the background of the stars twinkling, I think it was. Yeah, not much there, just oh, look at this, I even got a making of. Apparently I record to a making of pretty much everything. How long is this? Oh, this is just 41 minutes. So yeah, you can see here, if I just skim over it, that I try to find a font where it's working with to get it roughly into the same size. Yeah, and then it was just copying, trying, and apparently I even made the M a little bit thinner, but yeah, just kept at it. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing very special, it's just how you would expect to do things. Filling out stuff. And lastly, I just closed the window there. There was the Mega Man one, and this was actually the hardest to make, because I really wanted to have this exact appearance of the Mega Man logo with this very, very gaudy 80s shading, this 80s reflection. If you recall, the 80s were the time of airbrushed logos where everything was chrome and reflecting and neon, and yeah. And they also did this with the Mega Man logo here. Rockman is, I think it was just how it's in Japan, it was Rockman because of the music genre, rock. It was just, I think, blue text, nothing fancy in there. For the international release, they gave it this Mega Man, this chrome reflection stuff. And it was, by the way, also this is me as Mega Man. And it was quite hard because, of course, I wanted to get the perspective just right as with the Mega Man logo. And what did I have to do there? I think this is, yeah, if we just compare, let me do this. No, apparently, yeah. This is the comparison between those two. I had to move apparently the building so that the Roman numeral would work out there. So I think I got away with this. But overall, yeah, it looks quite the same. And to make this happen, this is a huge mouse pointer. To make this happen, I think. Oh, this is also the GIF. Apparently, I made another making of, and it's also 15 minutes long. And the first thing was trying to get the right font size and then get the perspective right. And apparently to get the perspective right is you have to make the line on top much taller than the line on bottom, that it reads in perspective, as you can see here, that it reads in perspective just as the original Mega Man. Yeah, here trying again to get the perspective right, doing some cleanups there, that the letters read a little bit better. And then, of course, getting this gradient of colors there. And yeah, and in the end, it was just drawing on top, doing this little embossing or fringing there. And there we go. Ludum Dare 39. So yeah, it was, again, as always with me, more work than you would ever, or more work than... how to put this correctly? Yeah, you don't see it long enough to make it worth all the work. You would think so, but then again, if it's just a couple of seconds, I want to get it right, because maybe some people hit pause because they get something to drink and then they get back, or someone else is going to the toilet and they just sit there with the video on pause and looking at the screen and they think, this is actually all wrong and done pretty sloppily. And because I don't want this to happen, I try to make every still perfect. I think this still comes from my background in working with visual effects. So yeah, this was again some nice pixel art. And talking of stuff nobody probably notices because it's over so quick, and yeah, nobody will even think that it was a lot of work, is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logo animation. Just let me show you the final result, the rendering, which is this one here. If you've watched, if you are in the United States and watched Saturday morning cartoons, I think Turtles was on Saturday. Plane! By the way, there's a plane. You probably, yeah, know this by heart, how this looks. And I used this bit here, where just a line from lyrics from the original song for my Ludum Dare keynote making of, where I was just talking about taking the Turtles theme song and then making a cover of it and slowing it down by 50%, that it worked for the 80s sequence there. And just for the making of, just for 2 seconds in the making of, I wanted to have this logo in there. The problem was the only recordings that I found were, of course, from the 80s on some VHS tapes, and it was overly blurry, and I didn't like it because that it was overly blurry. I think, yeah, this was the reference, and there we go. Yeah, you can see here how blurry and washed out it looks, and yeah, I thought, yeah, I can't stand this. So what did I do? I redrew all the frames in Illustrator and have it here as an animation of, what's that, 17 Illustrator files. And each one is one frame of the animation. And in the end, it looks like this, super clean, like nothing you would have ever seen in the 80s. And it took me, again, way too long for what it is. But again, I like it. I like it. So let's turn over to Photoshop and some other works that I did for a client where, yeah, things didn't work out for me and for them. And yeah, there were some how to say it, egos ruffled in a sense, and it never quite worked out for me that I get a job again where I would get paid and so on and so forth. I don't want to get into the details, but yeah, I did a lot of mock-ups because it was I think an upcoming band or something, and they wanted to have some kind of key visuals, and I would get some photographs from a studio shoot, and yeah, just going back and forth with their creative director of what they wanted. And yeah, it was just maybe a drawing, or yeah, maybe this background and this photo, and make something out of it. And I think this one here, if you've ever seen this somewhere, congratulations. You listened to pop metal, something along those lines. And yeah, this was the result of, I think, was it 10 or even many more times going back and forth. And I'm still, to this day, I'm pretty happy with it, because it was work completely different than what I'm used to, because most of the time I work for myself when I'm doing stuff. When I'm Photoshop stuff, of course, not at work, that there I'm not working for myself. But yeah, the challenge was to have things set up in Photoshop in a way that you could move things around, because like I said, there was just so much going on back and forth. So yeah, I don't like it. Maybe put the guy a little bit more to the left and have the sun a bit bigger. No, let's have some body of water there. Yeah, why not? And have everything reflect in there. And in the end, this one here, for one thing, was really hard was here cutting out the hair. I mean, this is just a preview. The original final file is like 14,000 by 14,000 pixels, because it was also the LP cover. So yeah, it had to have quite a resolution. And in the end, I had to set up everything in After Effects, because there it was easier moving things around and have automatically update, for example, here the fake reflection there. I mean, it looks a little bit fake, of course. You can see here that yeah, those ripples don't make sense. And of course here the ripples from this side here don't quite work, but yeah, I'm still happy with being able to have made this sun here into a skull. And I think the art direction that I got was, yeah, make it like this Walking Dead DVD cover, but don't copy it from there. So it was just trying to recreate it there again, that it looks like something else. But again, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this, and it took me way too long until we arrived at this, because like I said, were so many iterations until we arrived at this rather actually funny thing there. Because for my taste, it's a little bit too much going on. Maybe with the sun there in the background and the singer in front. But then, of course, yeah, we got some reflections there. Okay, but now he's in the water, but the cable of the microphone is curled. What's going on here? What's the story behind this? This doesn't make sense. So instead, I find it really funny. Yeah, and one of the first things that I did for them was this mock-up here. If you have a look at this right now, you can see that the perspective isn't quite working, but I think they used it for some key art or something. And yeah, for not really having this possibility of getting a real reflection there, I think it worked out quite okay. And I think they also really liked it. And the hardest part, of course, as always, is trying to make something stand out from the background. And I think this is quite a nice example for this. By the way, all those background elements there, I just copy pasted them together from stuff you would get on unsplash.com. And this was one thing that I really learned through working with this client was they just sent me stuff from unsplash.com. And the cool thing about Unsplash is you get really high quality images there that you can use even for commercial projects. And this more than often saved my ass. And this is also why I contribute now to freesound.org, where I just put on some of the sound effects I recorded just to help people out, because I know when you're in the thick of something and really need some assets where you get the rights to, and all you can do is, yeah, maybe get a very crummy picture that's public domain, but you can't have to spend so much time to work on it yourself that you can use it. Or buy something from, I don't know, Getty Images or iStock Photo and pay like $70 for something that's just a shrub sitting on the green, but it's exactly the one that you need. But it feels like, yeah, it's not justified the amount you pay for it. And this is where Unsplash comes in. Most of the time when I need something, or at least one element of something, I can find it. Yeah, talking about separating foreground from background, there are two great things that are light and fog, and in this case combined. So the cool thing is, I was just when driving around before through the countryside, and there was this ground fog. And if you seen ground fog and watched or kept looking into the distance over a couple of rolling hills, and then there are maybe mountains in the background. Without ground fog, everything blends together. You don't know where the first hill ends and the one behind that shows. But with ground fog, it's like a gradient coming from the bottom and then slowly going upwards. And it really makes it very, very pleasing to look at and very aesthetic, because you get these clearly readable silhouettes against the background. That is the ground fog on the hill behind that. And yeah, nature is just, as always, your finest reference just for seeing how things work. And by the way, fog is also great, because with fog you can have something that's you can diminish the presence of the background. For example, here, of course, those buildings probably would be the same contrast as here in the foreground, but because they are here hidden behind this haze, yeah, the foreground really pops out because it has much more contrast than the background. And this is also what they do most of the times. I've seen this in zombie movies, where you just have those silhouettes of zombies. But the problem is, at night, you have dark black sky, and you also have dark black shuffling zombies. So how to make them stand out? And the trick is using some kind of fog behind the zombies, and then you can put any kind of light source actually into the fog, and everything, yeah, has the color of this fog and gets milky. But the zombies still stand out in their silhouettes from the background, but they don't have to be lit or anything. So something to notice, because I've seen this also works pretty much in any kind of visual medium, even with pixel platformers. If your background doesn't have as much contrast as your foreground, it's very easy to understand as a player intuitively what platform I can jump on and what I can't. So yeah, this just as an aside. And this is also why I wanted to share this, because yeah, I wanted to talk about this separation from background and foreground, because we always have to do this to make something stand out, but everything is equally important. And yeah, there are just some visual tricks to do this. And I got some pixel art from 2014, as we've seen before, where I really started doing those. Now I'm at a loss. The Walking Dead, right. The Walking Dead pixel art. And at this point I really tasted blood. I think it's the right term, where you just want to think, yeah, actually this is fun. I want to do some more pixel illustrations, pixel art. And this is where I was watching a lot of the Colbert Report and Daily Show, and I thought, yeah, why not pixel those people. And this is here when the Daily Show was still hosted by Jon Stewart, and this was my rendering of this. And interestingly, the foreground, Jon's face with this yeah, cackling look that he has, wasn't that much of a problem, but I spent way more time working on the background and the type here. Let me find here the reference so that we can have a look at it side by side. If I find it, preview, even got a making of there. Don't I have the reference anymore? Yeah, this was the reference. There we go. And by the way, the reference also explains the strange position of the thumb that's going on here. And again, I try to limit myself there in colors used. And you have no idea how long I spent dithering this background here, this Atlantic Ocean there on the map. And it just always looked wrong. And in the end, I thought, yeah, just screw it. I just have it like this. On the upside, this also compresses better when you're saving it as a PNG. So lesson learned is you don't always have to do it. As it is in the original thing. And I used, what's this? 34 unique colors. So this is quite the step up from my Walking Dead stuff. Also, the resolution is much bigger. Let me look. I think how big is it? It was 240 by 135 pixels. And yeah, this, I think the only dithering that still survived is this one here. But I think it's not too distracting. I mean, if you're looking at it small, it works. But so far, yeah, I'm quite happy with how this turned out. But maybe I would do things a little bit differently. And again, you can see I struggled a little bit here with the texture on his tie. Maybe it's a little bit too busy for this image there. But again, I had a lot of fun doing this, and I thought, yeah, maybe let's try Colbert. Because if you recall from before where I did the Walking Dead stuff, and I said that the faces are usually just one color, the same here. It's good that there's not one side that's in lit and the other one is more shaded, because again you need more colors, and that would make things more different or harder on you. And then I thought, yeah, maybe I should do Colbert next, but not Colbert from the show, but from the intro where he's being lit with red from one side and blue from the other side. What could go wrong? And I want to show this to you next. Also, there's Etienne. Hi, and oh, Prada is also here. Hi, Prada. Hi, Etienne. Thank you so much for dropping by. Cheers to you, unicorn. And whenever I say unicorn, let's have us all a sip of water. Ah, wonderful. And there's Colbert, and oh my god, there are how many versions? 69 versions. And this is the result. And I'm not happy with it. The face looks okay for what it is. But yeah, I think, again, just like with the Jon Stewart image before, I spent way too much time here trying to do some kind of dithering there that didn't work out in the end. And this, yeah, it's just all over the place. This is a showcase of how not to do things, because you can see here, use this kind of fringing technique, which works on its own if it's just consistent. Then I try to do some random noise dithering there to get the transition from this dark red to black. And here I just said screw it and used just those pointy things there to imply that this was this kind of explosion or flare of light. So yeah. Actually here with blue it works a little bit better, but this is probably because we perceive blue as much darker as red, despite having, if it has the same saturation. So I think this works much better here with blue. And also this kind of flames there. So actually there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 different shading techniques in there. So I use now this here because the other one was already scaled up by 2400% and not really responsive when I was dragging it around here, and this one works better. Just let me show you here the original reference there that I used. I think, yeah, this was the original reference. And boy, you can see here how much I struggled here with the face, trying to get this transition from blue light to reddish light working. And yeah, because I thought maybe what's between red and blue? Yeah, it's purple, and this is what's happening here. And it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. And I kept it in there. But you can see clearly here that there is no purple. It just goes over into this from blue into this brown tone there, and it's not really purple. But yeah, and I kept using this color even here for the individual digits and so on. So yeah. By the way, I think I still got a GIF image of the making of this. If you're curious about the stages that I went through. And I think I started with the face the first and tried to get as much definition in as possible, or it was the last thing that I did and just cheated my way around it until I couldn't get out of it anymore. Yeah, this is the making of. So yeah, it's the face I think I saved for last. And you can see here, yeah, how much was going on there with dithering. Probably there will be, yeah, just trying out different stuff and then going in again. So apparently I spent much more time on the background first, Yeah, you can, yeah. And then try to get the face in because I kept pushing it because I knew it was the hardest thing on this. And also what's interesting is if you try to stay true to this one here, it looks like, in a sense, sometimes it looks like a mix between Hitler and Gandhi, which is very awkward until you place the final pixels correctly. Then really starts looking like the person you intended to to pixel. So yeah, this was a lot of fun that I had there with starting to pixel stuff, and then I thought, yeah, let's do something that's a little bit more serious. And then I did this famous photograph here of the tank man on Tiananmen Square, and I also expanded it a little bit here on the top and the bottom, and I think everyone knows the original, the reference. Do I have it here? References, Tankman. Yeah, this was my original reference of the photograph here, and again I tried to use as little colors as possible there, but at the same time try to stay as true as possible, of course, to the original image. And the only liberties that I took here were with the stripes there, the lines on the road. What's it called? The signals? I don't think they're called that way. But yeah, because with pixels, you really want to have this perfect perspective going on there, because in the photo it's not isometric, but almost, because it was shot with a very wide lens, a very long lens, not wide lens, a very long lens, a telephoto lens. But when you're having this in Photoshop, of course, it's not pixel perfect. There's still some kind of perspective in there, and this is what I took out of here. And there's also a lesson that I learned of how to depict very fine lines when your pixels are too wide for a thin line. As you can see here with those antennae, not quite sure what the plural is. And here the trick is not to use the dark color of the pixels, but instead use the lighter one here, where it blends with the background, where you're having those stepping transition there in the pixel art. So yeah, I learned a lot with just trying to recreate this, and I think I even have there a work in progress. Yeah, there are 75 stages. Making of, there we go. And I started off, as you can see, with the background and the perspective first, and then just went one tank after another. And I think it took me at least 1 hour per tank to get this right. And then, of course, there are some more touches where you notice, yeah, this one color didn't work out there, or now this looks too bright on one tank. Now I need to brighten up the those specular reflections there on the other one, and so on. And yeah, with the road in the end, I just made it very dirty, and then it was way too busy. So it's actually a little bit cleaner here, the road in my recreation, than it is in the original source. Radio sticks. Thank you. Radio sticks. It's not antenna, the plural is radio sticks. What is this? An SNES controller? Apparently I never got far with this one. And the last thing, plane. There's another plane. I have the window open, actually, because, man, with this horrible climate warming there, it's December, and December in Austria usually meant there's snow. I recall it was 15 years, 20 years back at school, when I was remarking with my classmates, wow, it just rained in December, isn't that weird? And here we are now, it's a couple of days before Christmas, and the temperature is way well above the freezing point. So there we go. And yes, the last one that I had prepared, well, I think it's one of the last ones that I had prepared, is this one here. For some reason, this recreation there of the Hosaka Sendai, I'm butchering it now, Ono Sendai 7, the Cyberspace 7 of Hosaka Ono Sendai. I'm butchering it again. The Hosaka Cyberspace 7 by Ono Sendai. There we go. If you have no idea what the hell am I talking about, this is a hacking device, as it is mentioned in the seminal cyberpunk work Neuromancer by William Gibson, and the protagonist was plugging into the Matrix in a sense by this device. That's the Ono Sendai Cyberspace 7 by Hosaka Electronics, Japan. And one day I thought, I want to make a 80s styled logo as if it was a real Japanese brand, and yeah, that it looks authentic or plausible in a sense. And I had a lot of fun with it, and this was the first thing that I put up on RedBubble. And for some reason, this thing sells like crazy. Granted, compared to all the other art that I have on there, but I can't really point it, because a lot of people have made their own interpretations of this Cyberspace 7 logo. And for some reason, this one is the most popular, and it sells. And there is not a single week that goes by without someone, at least one person, buying a sticker of this. And and I earn a whopping 30 cents. If it's a small one, it's 15 cents. And if they're on sale, it's 6 cents or so. Yeah, but it still baffles me why this is so apparently so desirable. But my design choices were, I looked at a lot of 80s logos of tech companies, and also the fonts that were used. And this Cyberspace 7 font here, I think this is even a Japanese font, but it also has Western glyphs, and they look a little bit chunky, and for some reason to me they have this anime aesthetic of the 80s. And yeah, this is just added some stripes there, because you either have some stripes or a rainbow in your 80s logos, or both, or make it all out of chrome and have it reflect a glowing grid or something. So that's the 80s in a nutshell. And I'm still surprised how well this sells, because I did a lot of other logos that are in this book. For example, SenseNet. Did I do this here? Yeah. This is with transparency, the SenseNet, Sense/net logo. And I spent way too much time trying to really get those gradients there right, so that it also looks like some kind of 80s tech company logo. And it was much more work, and I think it sold one sticker over 1 year that I had it up. So you never quite know. I also made Hosaka, it was the Tessier Ash Pool, which is also a brand or a family name that gets mentioned in the book. I also made this a sticker, which sold a little bit better. And recently let me just show you, I made the Mars Biolabs. I have to drag it now to the other screen that I find my way around my stuff. And for some reason, nobody is interested in it ever. Where is it? Renders. It's this one here, the Mars Biolabs. Oh, that's chunky. My intention was to have it appear a little bit like this biohazard logo. You probably know what the biohazard logo looks, or the warning sign, biohazard warning sign. Thank you, Firefox. There we go. You know, this thing here. And oh damn it, I shouldn't have closed it. Wrong one. Sorry. Finals. There we go. And yeah, for some reason I really liked it, because it looks like, if you're zoomed in, it looks like a wasp. So very, even a bit like a face or something. So yeah, I found it strangely very interesting, because it's like a Rorschach test. You could read into it a lot of stuff, and apparently nobody else thinks so. And the longer I kept looking at it, the less I liked it myself. But yeah, that aside, I always like to come up with my own logos or stuff. Even in boarding school, I think it's what's it called? The one not right after kindergarten, but then you do 4 years at some school. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. High school? Maybe high school. I'm not sure what the international equivalent is. Either way, I love to come up with my own logos and draw stuff, and at this point I thought I would become a graphics designer at some point in my life, but things never turned out as you would expect them to, and here we are. I'm making a semi-interesting stream there on YouTube about old crap that I once made in Illustrator, and nobody's interested in this, and this is why I'm shouting it out into the world, just that it's not completely in vain. Okay, and another thing, let me just see if I have another thing, renders. What's this here? Or yeah, of course, the SCP Foundation. We all know that the SCP Foundation already has a logo and it already has been vectorized multiple times, but for myself I wanted to make a t-shirt for this, and I thought again, yeah, let's do it myself. So I recreated the logo and found even the font, which I think is called Bauhaus 93. The SCP Foundation, and the one below is, of course, as always, it's Helvetica. As always, Helvetica. Let me see if I have something else. Ludum Dare sticker. Okay, this is just an empty Illustrator thing, because I think every one of us has so many projects just lying around that once we started and never picked up again. And then you look over them and have a bad conscience because you thought, oh my god, I put so much time in there and never managed to get half of it even done, and probably never will. And so my way of doing things is to announce on the internet that I'm really going to finish Ludum Dare 42, and this is why I'm still working on it after, I think it's 15 months now that this project is in production, and there's no end in sight, because for the last 2 months I completely ignored any progress on it, because the Ludum Dare 45 postmortem is on its way. And in this case I'm making good progress. There's just one funny bit missing, as I've mentioned before, and some music. I think 2 tracks of music I have to come up with just in between where the story's being advanced a little bit, but I think it's around about 35 minutes long, and it should be very entertaining, and finally something that that I finished with. Okay, so I think this shall be the stream for today. Is there anything else I prepared? Of course, yeah. Maybe this is interesting there. Probably not, but again, as you know, when I'm not happy with the quality of something that I want to show or have in my videos, I think I used this here, the Game Boy DuckTales cartridge, when I was still doing Let's Plays there on this channel, where I was just playing DuckTales for an hour or so and wanted to have the DuckTales box there. But the one that I found looked crappy. Looked like this. You can't have this on stream. Why should you? Look at this. The edges are bumped off. There's still some kind of sticker residue on it. There's some reflection of the photograph on it. You can't put this on your channel. You embarrass yourself. So I thought, yeah, maybe I should make it a template so that I can do whatever I want in terms of whatever game that I want to play, and that it looks the same every time. The first thing that I found was this wonderful concept art there. For some reason, I found the original painting there on the web. It was a little bit too small, but thanks to Waifu4X, the website that upscales your anime art, it worked. The only thing was that, let me disable here the layer mask. There was no treasure map on this here, on the original artwork. Apparently this went in later. And what I did was just use this crappy one here from the original, and you can see here it's not quite the same, but it looks samey enough and much better than the one on this photograph there. Then of course I needed this Game Boy logo there. What did I do? I recreated it, which was very simple. The Game Boy font is Gil Sans Bold Condensed Italic, I think. But yeah, just rewrite it in this font and you're good. And of course, the Nintendo logo is really abundant on the internet. Then of course we have here the Nintendo logo on the bottom there. It's licensed by Nintendo as always. And then we got the Nintendo original seal of quality, which is also easily found on the web. And because it was a game made by Capcom, you would have it here on top. Oh, of course, yeah, this was this one-player game pack, because we also have two-player game packs. And I think I even retraced it there. And this was also done with the GIL font, because of course it's the same font as the Game Boy, so don't mix up your font families. Yeah, it was a Capcom game, so there we go. The Capcom logo was not that hard to come across. It's a registered trademark, and of course it's Disney's, there we go, DuckTales. Also the logo easily found on the web, and this is how I recreated it. Again, nobody will notice, but I don't want you to have to look at this garbage here. No, you should look at this pristine version of it. This is everything that I have prepared for today. I hope I didn't bore you too much with my old shit there. But again, thank you so much. It's nice to be able to share the stuff that I worked on with you all and the internet, because you're not all, but the internet is everyone. Primary school, yes, primary school, thank you. This was the word I was looking for. Apparently U equals, in Switzerland they have big signs on buildings that say Helvetica that aren't in Helvetica. Yeah, man, those Swiss font designers. I think, man, now his name escapes me. The one who also designed Helvetica, and was it Avenir and so on. So yeah, Swiss people are very crafty in terms of fonts. I don't know why, but Frutiger, I think his name was Frutiger, who was also a Swiss designer. So apparently they are very crafty when it comes to fonts. And Helvetica, I think Helvetia is an insurance company, but yeah, Switzerland, so they named, of course, the Helvetica font after Helvetia, which I think was Latin for Switzerland or something. So there you go. And do we have anything else there going on in the chat? No, it's just this big old gray screen there on this side or on that side. I'm not quite sure where my little thumbnail is. So because I don't have anything to show on the screen anymore, so now I've grown big, and sadly the only thing from the Christmas ornaments are the sticky tape bits, and everything else is just littered about. Yes, that's it for me from today. I wish I would have been able to show you something from the Ludum Dare 45 postmortem, but at this point pretty much everything would be spoilers. And but suffice it to say, things are coming along. I also had to make some certain piece of music that should sound very iconic and very easy to recognize if you know the original, and should sound as much like it, but without being running the risk of having some kind of copyright infringement claim on it. So I did it in a different now it escapes me. If you have something that's in C and you just transpose it to E, a different scale, there we go. Thank you. In a different scale, but then again I also mixed up some of the notes and yeah, just ad-libbed us a bit on my keyboard. Yeah, the bottom line is if you don't have this kind of musical ear, as we say, you probably won't notice that it's something different, but it's completely recreated from scratch, because once you see it, you will see it, or rather hear it. And the other thing is I need to have some kind of comedic bit in there, but it's not my usual comedic bit where I'm just writing something funny and then acting it out. It's more along the lines of comedian stand-up stuff like this. And yeah, I'm practicing, I'm training, I even got a microphone. So yeah, I think this is really the last thing that's missing, and then it's just polishing, doing color grading, the finishing credits, and then it should be done. So again, I'm looking forward to mid to end January 2020 where I can finally release something. Because man, it's been way too long since I've released something, and I was beating myself up because I'm always constantly plagued by bad conscience. This is a character trait of me that I've recently found out. I'm pretty much everything or most of the things that I do in some way relate to me having a bad conscience, where I think, yeah, I should really work on this because I haven't worked on this, but I don't have any fun doing it. But yeah, the fun will come, and usually it does come because I enjoy doing exactly this kind of pointless, crazy polishing stuff that no one will notice. The problem is that I push myself too hard, and I realized this 2 weeks before when I announced that I couldn't do a weekly stream, because I set out to myself I want to do a weekly stream, and then some day 2 weeks ago I realized that I was so burned out. I was really not looking forward to doing it, and realized that I had a small burnout again because I was just really pushing myself to have Ludendorff 45 finished by the end of this year, but it just wouldn't be, and yeah, I just burned out a little. And so my resolution for 2020 is to take things a little bit more relaxed and don't beat myself up when I don't have anything to show or do, or even allow myself some downtime. It's like, yeah, don't feel bad if you spend 2 hours playing a game. So this is my resolution. So I hope you have already made up your New Year's resolutions. Some people joke their New Year's resolution is 1920 by 1080. Well, this has been a couple of years back. I think nowadays it's 4K, and I always get this wrong. What's it? 860 by 2440. I'm not quite sure what the UHD resolution is. Either way, I hope you get a new monitor for your New Year's resolution. And Frank writes key. Yes, it's not the scale, it's the key. Yeah, thank you. Musical terms, I'm just blanking out already. Just wait 2 weeks and then promise to finish it this year. Yeah. But then again, I think, yeah, promise to finish it in 2020, and 2020 is still 52 weeks, so I can get even more work done. So no, I'm doubling down. I will promise it. It should be out by January 2020. I drink to that, and it's not that much to do. It's just two setups: camera, lights, sound, action. Either way, the unicorns should probably help me in trying to relax myself, don't beat myself up, and just portion my time more wisely than just throw myself into work until I fall asleep at the keyboard. Okay, this was a very short stream for my usual behavior, because usually I just want to make a stream that's 1.5 hours, and then I go over 2 hours, and then my voice starts to crack a little bit and I start forgetting English terms, which is already happening, and then I'm stumbling over my tongue and nobody's having a good time anymore, and it drags on for way too long, like this monologue that I'm having here right now. So yeah, if there aren't any more questions, I shall see you maybe next week and definitely next year. I'm not quite sure if I manage to be around to do a stream on next Sunday. But again, chances are that also you won't be around. Maybe you're visiting parents or family, or be out of town, or out of your device, or in some kind of place where you don't have a good connection, which you especially don't want to spoil your data plan by watching me ramble on to about random stuff. So yeah, again, not quite sure if there will be a stream next week, but there will definitely be one early next year. The chat says no, still got 8 concurrent viewers. Again, thank you so much. Most of the time you're never sure if you're talking into the void. So thank you so much for being there and not being the void. Again, I say unicorn for you and myself to stay hydrated. I hope you have some great holidays, a good end of the year, and that you also can relax, play some games, and get pumped to make some games yourself. I myself am having, this is really a problem that I have, is that because I have so much stuff going on, the videos here and the Ludum Dare post-mortem, I've been inspired to make a game since the last Ludum Dare, and I haven't gotten around it to really start or do anything about it other than say, I want to make a game, I really am feeling it. So yeah, we will see what the new year brings. Maybe on the holidays I will start something that shall be abandoned in mid-January. Excuse me. So John Sterling waves goodbye, and Frank also says good night and Happy New Year. And I have nothing more to add to this other than, let me find the right one. Old man yells at plane. No, this is the wrong one. I have nothing more to add to this than may the unicorns watch over you and be kind to you and cause you lots of luck and good times also in 2020. See you maybe on the other side already. Bye.